Now, what do you make of that press conference? So that was 2 in the morning. All right, let's play devil's advocate here. You have some analysts also saying that the Quadcom is discretionary and abusive in their powers by actually threatening the lawyer, the chief of staff of Vice President Duterte. Unang-una, i-detain sa Kongreso tapos binantaan. Gusto mo ba dito or ikulong ka sa koreksyonal? So ang unang tanong, wasn't that abusive on the part of Congress, which led the Vice President to react in such a manner? Let's start with that.
Well, una, tatlong bahagi yan Karen. Ang una ay yung simpleng mga proseso ng Quadcom. Tinatanong nila, simpleng tanong, yung notice of disallowance ng COA, paano ba nangyari yan? Na yung Chief of Staff ay nagsulat sa COA para wag ibigay sa Congress yung notice of disallowance. Actually, may rule ang COA na dapat sa Presidente at sa Congress, dahil yung Congress may oversight powers, dapat yung ganyang klaseng mga usapin ay talagang binibigay. So, doon nagsimula yung away na gumawa ng letter si Zulaika sa COA na wag i-release sa Congress yung notice of disallowance na medyo kontra mismo sa rules ng COA. Ikalawa, simpleng mga tanong. Sino ba si Piatco? Si Piatco. Sino ba si Piatos? No? Sino ba ito? The real person? No? Si Villamin. Bakit hindi masagot yon? Mga simpleng tanong. Ikatlo, yung ibang mga lumalabas na sa dyaryo na paano ginastos ito sa safe houses? 250,000 yung ginastos sa safe houses. Isa. Tapos yung mga paano to distribute. So mga simpleng tanong, doon nagsimula. Ikalawa ay yung tawag ko ay political calculation. Nung kinontempt yung kanyang chief of staff, ay pumunta si Vice President Sara na may dalang kumot at saka unan. Nung una ko nakita yon, this is calculated. Para ipakita na sinusuportahan niya yung kanyang mga staff. No? At ang problema, nilagay niya sa quandary yung Congress. Dahil nilagay niya sa isang sitwasyon na yung Congress, damn if you do, damn if you don't. Dahil may mga rules yung Congress bawal yun Diba? Same time, hindi naman nila pwedeng kaladkarin palabas ng Congress yung Vice President, the second highest official of the land. So nagkaroon ng quandary. Tingin ko, may nag-isip na lumabas sa quandary na yan. Di dali natin sa correctional at kung gustong samahan ng Vice President, di pumunta rin siya ron. Tingin ko may ganun nag-isip. Whether that is legal is another thing. Dahil may gray area yan Dapat mga abogado ang tanungin dyan. Doon na, nung nangyari yun, doon na nagkaroon ng meltdown. Doon na naging unhinged yung Vice President. I thought I've seen everything after nung kanyang statement na huhukayin si President Marcos at itatapon sa West Philippine Sea. Aba, meron pa palang mas matindi. At it looks so surreal, buong mundo, kinover yan. Nagulat ako.
Actually,
CNN, lahat, Arab, lumabas sa lahat. Kaya pinapanood tayo ng mundo, natatawa sa atin yung mundo. What's happening here? No, a Vice President publicly threatening a President with assassination. So yun yung nangyari. Tapos may side issue pa na binawi ng Vice President. Hindi naman daw niya tinetrete ng Presidente. Hindi naman daw niya tinetrete ng First Lady. So may ganong klaseng pagbawi. Pero after nun, tumira na naman na sige, lahat tayo magpa-drug test. So medyo sabi nga natin nung mga interview rito, parang mga telenovela. Hindi natatapos. Sunod-sunod yung mga kabanata. Parang miniseries.
All right. So I read that and you're right. The mainstream media all over the world actually did cover it and even showed the video of Vice President Sara Duterte. So I want to ask you this. This is very reminiscent. It's very signature of Duterte, right? So former President Duterte would do the same thing. Patayin ko kayo, sampalin ko ang negosyanteng to pag nakita ko sa mall. Minura rin niya si Obama. Itong threats to kill is even former President Duterte, we were being convinced that ganyan lang siya. Accept it, di ba? The supporters of former President Duterte, sinasabi noon, di nyo naman siya kabisado magsalita, ganyan lang yan talaga. To the point for 6 years, we were all conditioned to accept that kind of language. So I want to ask you, what if itapon ulit ito ng supporters? Hindi naman banta yun Sinasabi lang niya yun in defense na kung siya ang patayin, patayin mo sila. Yun ang sabi ng Vice President. Why should it be taken seriously?
Well, nakakatawa kasi dahil sabi nga ni Senator Bato yesterday, that was a conditional threat. Natawa ako ron. A conditional threat. Yung threat ay nakatali doon sa kondisyon na kung siya yung papatayin. Ang tawag ni Vice President, my murder. Ngayon, siguro kung simpleng threat yan, baka pagtawanan ng mga tao. Pero may Las Cañas testimony Merong Matubato testimony sa ICC na yung Vice President ay kasama dito sa crimes against humanity. Lalo na nung siya ay mayor, nagpapapatay talaga siya. So, talagang siseryosohin ng gobyerno itong threat na ito dahil may ganong klaseng record, may ganong klaseng testimony sa ICC. So, ang tingin nila, hindi ito biro. Baka kayang gawin ito ng Vice President. Lalo na, nung panahon ng kanyang tatay, ang daming namatay. No? More than 35,000. So, kaya ang tawag nila, clear and present danger. No? Dahil hindi siya empty threat. No? Dahil hindi siya empty threat.
Okay, and in the video that we showed a while ago, it didn't help that the Vice President, after the sentence, said, no joke ito. This is no joke. Oo, kasi si Pangulong Duterte, wala namang ganon, right? Pero ito, this is no joke.
Exactly. Tapos, just a few hours later, kinabukasan, binawi niya. Hindi naman daw niya tinitreated. Alam naman, Karen, sa ating mundo ngayon, pag sinabi mo na at lumabas yan sa internet, nandun na yun forever. No? Nandun na yun forever. Kaya nga, pinapanood ko around the world, lumalabas siya. At medyo amazed yung mga tao, no? From the Middle East to Africa to Europe. They were amazed. Parang ngayon lang nila nakita ito. A sitting vice president threatening a sitting president with assassination. Whether sabihin mo pa, katulad ng sinasabi ni Senator Bato na conditional threat, hindi makikita ng buong mundo na yan ay conditional threat. Ngayon lang ako nakarinig ng gano'n, conditional threat. Coming from a former chief PNP, no? Chief PNP, no?
So, now, my next question would be, how does this affect the country? Let's start with the country first, before the ratings of the Vice President. How does this affect the country when it comes to foreign investors? You have the Vice President threatening the President, the First Lady, and the Speaker of the House, and the Duterte clan is a formidable one, so to speak, right? In Mindanao and the Visayas, may sarili silang baluarte. If you are a foreign investor, what message does this say?
Yes, Karen, medyo protracted na ito. Nung first time na nag-guest ako sa iyo, almost a year ago, sinabi ko open warfare na. Yeah. Since then, nag-hesitate na yung mga investors. Paano ba ito mag-accelerate o decelerate? Nag-accelerate. Kaya ngayon, after nyan, mas lalong mag-hesitate ang mga foreign investors. Yung sinasabi ni Ambassador Babes Romualdez na may $100 billion na possible investment. No? Swerte na siguro kung 1 billion yung papasok. Dahil mag-hesitate sila, what's happening? No, what's happening? Pero, medyo masama ang epekto nito sa Vice President more than sa Presidente. No, yung continuing unraveling ng kanyang mga surveys, yung pagpapatuloy na pag-erode ng kanilang political base, tingin ko hindi mapipigilan. Halimbawa, yung call ni Harry Roque ng People Power sa EDSA, ang dumating wala pang 10 no, 2 nights ago. So, meron sa Davao mga 500 na nag-candle rally the other night. Pero ibig sabihin wala siyang traction, no? Dahil hindi naman kilala ng mga tao si Zuleika Lopez Why should they rally for her? No, ibang usapin kung magkakaroon ng impeachment. Tingin ko doon ang direction na nito.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the impeachment. Threatening the president, is that an impeachable offense, or would you consider it to be treason? Because Sara Duterte in a press conference said that the president has actually committed 5 impeachable offenses. So she actually named those offenses. She claims that he's committed graft and corruption, etc., other high crimes, pero Congress won't act. Did Vice President Sara Duterte commit an impeachable offense?
Definitely, Karen. I'm sure 100% na kung makakaroon ng impeachment sa House, ito ay magiging bahagi ng articles of impeachment. Pero mas malaki pa yung impact nito halimbawa sa Senate. Dahil meron mga kakampi o sympathizers si Vice President sa Senate. Meron nga gustong ibalik yung kanyang budget na kinatay sa House. Tingin ko itong mga senador na ito ay nalagay sa spot after nitong statement ni Vice President na i-assassinate niya yung Presidente, yung First Lady at saka yung Speaker. Kaya tingin ko ay lalong lumalaki yung possibility ng conviction sa Senate na dati ay medyo maliit. Dahil yung kanyang mga sympathizers sa Senate ay ngayon magdadalawa, 3, 4 na isip para siya suportahan. Halimbawa dito sa usapin sa budget. Dahil kung susuportahan nila yung Vice President, parang sinusuportahan nila yung threat laban sa Presidente, sa First Lady at saka sa Speaker.
Very good point. That's a very good point.
Ganun yung mangyayari. Kaya nabawasan dramatically yung suporta niya sa Senate. Hindi lang sa usapin ng budget, kung hindi pag dumating doon yung impeachment.
That's very interesting that you connected it to that. That you're saying that some senators who actually want to restore the budget, who were sympathetic to her, if you fight for restoring the budget that's actually tainted with questionable spending and possible graft and corruption, it's now supporting her threat against President Marcos Jr. That's what you're saying now. So they're put in a tight spot. Now, I want to ask you this. Isn't it possible that the reasons that you have senators actually still sympathetic to the vice president is, frankly speaking, because in the last survey, she had a 35% rating for the presidency as a presidential. I saw a particular survey where she was tied with Raffy Tulfo. No, pareho, nakita mo yun, sir. Pareho silang roughly 30+%, pantay, tapos yung iba naka-single digit na. So if Raffy Tulfo doesn't run, or he's not supported by Malacanang, and then you have Sara Duterte running, you have senators fearful, right? So they don't want to aggravate the situation with her.
Yes, dahil kahit bumababa dramatically yung surveys ni Vice President, siguro mahigit doble.
Walang kalaban wala pang kalaban.
Yes, kahit doble yung binabaan niya, mataas pa rin siya. No? At tingin ko magbababa pa rin to. At ang tumataas ay si Raffy Tulfo. Ibig sabihin, naghahanap ng alternative yung tao. Yun yung ibig sabihin. Pero I have to admit na mataas pa rin siya. Kaya yung ibang mga senador at saka ibang kongresista nag-hesitate dahil baka maapektuhan kung sila ay re-electionist o kung sila ay tatakbo sa 2028. Dahil alam mo naman ng mga senador, yan ay mga separate republics at kinakalculate nila yung kanilang future survival. Kaya dahil isang voting block pa rin ng mga Duterte, ay nagbabalanse sila, playing both sides. Pero dahil sa sinabi ng Vice President, mahirap na mag-play ng both sides, mahirap na mamangkas sa dalawang ilog. Dahil assassination threat na ito eh. Yun yung ginawa ni Vice President. Ikinanto niya yung mismo mga allies niya to make a position. At I'm almost sure, dito sa midterm, ang posisyon ng mga senador at saka mga kongresista is in support of the incumbent. No? Whether that is right or wrong is another thing. Pero in pragmatic terms, dahil sa ginawa ng Vice President, ay dun yung magiging direksyon. Kahit na, katulad nga ng sinabi mo, may ganong klaseng consideration itong mga politiko. No? Dahil meron pa namang voting block, yung mga Duterte. Pero lumiliit dramatically, Karen, lumiliit, in spite of everything.
Okay. Now, do you believe that the Vice President should be impeached?
Well, mahirap magkaroon ng Vice President, the second highest official in the land, na ganyan yung mga actuations, na hindi man lang masagot yung mga simpleng tanong. Dahil lahat ito kasi could have been prevented kung siya ay umapir sa Kongreso, took the oath to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, na mismo yon ayaw niyang gawin, at sinagot yung mga tanong, paano ba nagastos ito? Pero kung ayaw mong sagutin, lumalabas yung suspicion na may anomalya talaga. Yung banat niya sa corruption sa House, sa Presidente, pwedeng mas credible yun kung she came out clean. Kung sinagot niya yung mga simpleng tanong ng Kongreso about corruption sa kanyang opisina. Kung ginawa niya yun, mas credible yung kanyang mga banat. Pero dahil tainted siya, hindi niya masagot ang simpleng tanong, ay yung kanyang mga atake ay nawawala, nalulusaw. No, dahil nga, siya ay tainted by anomalies, lalo na after ng COA disallowance report. No? So kaya yun yung nangyayari ngayon. Dito lang nanggaling simpleng hearing, simpleng oath to tell the truth, hindi niya nagawa, kaya nag-deteriorate. No?
Okay, but then, isn't this already, let me just say, so that we have the other side here, political harassment?
Yes.
I've also asked Congressman this, hindi ba kasalanan ninyo in the first place na sa totoo lang, kayo rin naman ang nag-approve ng budget niya? Coming from the budget of former President Leni Robredo, right? Wherein there was no confidential funds. And suddenly, the Vice President now asks for roughly 600 million plus DepEd and the lower house. I mean, at the end of the day, they granted it to her without her being able to justify where she would spend it. Binigay rin nila. You know what I mean? It's like giving a kid chocolate when you knew it was bad for the kid. You know what I mean? So the truth of the matter is, aren't we all a victim also of politicking? The very practice that they did is what they are actually, because that's the issue of the Vice President too. Now I'm being harassed, binigay nyo naman.
Tama. Yung reality rito, Karen, dahil ito ay division of spoils nung nanalo yung unity team. United pa sila noon Di ba? Noong 2022. Pero in spite of that, nakita na natin yung division, yung unraveling. Dahil wala namang substance yung unity nila No? Kaya nung nagkaroon ng division of spoils at hindi na ibigay yung ibang gusto. Halimbawa, gusto ni Vice President yung defense portfolio.
Yeah.
Gusto ni Gloria Macapagal Arroyo maging speaker. Di ba? Gusto ng presidential sister, Amy Marcos, na nandun siya sa inner circle.
Yeah.
Nung hindi nangyari yun, nagsimula na yung away.
Okay,
diba?
what do you make of Senator Amy Marcos that was just visually confusing to many. I mean, there were issues in the family, but she went as far as to visit Attorney Zulueta, the COS of Sara Duterte, of the Vice President. What do you make of that already?
Well, that's surprising dahil it was a clear political statement at ginagawa na niya ito these past 2 years. No, malinaw ang kanyang sinasabi ay malapit ako sa mga Duterte. Sinubukan niyang mamangka sa dalawang ilog. Ang tingin kasi niya, Marcos naman yung kanyang apelido, so hindi naman siya talaga i-abandon ng mga Marcos supporters dahil Marcos yung kanyang apelido. Pero ang mas political calculation for her ay lumaro sa mga Duterte na siya yung nagkumbinse kay Sara na tumakbo as vice. So may ganung klaseng hugot at pinanggagalingan si Amy. Ang problema, sa ganitong tinatawag natin a year ago na open warfare at sa ganitong sitwasyon na assassination na yung pinag-uusapan, mahihirapan ka mamangka sa dalawang ilog. Pagsususpetsahan ka ng both sides. At eventually, dahil re-electionist ka, baka it might cost you. Tingin ko, delikado siya sa election na ito. So yung kanyang pamamangka sa dalawang ilog will definitely cost her this election. Posibleng matalo pa siya.
Posibleng matalo si Senator
Yes.
Amy Marcos?
Yes.
Naniniwala kayo?
Yes. Dahil the possibility is there. Dahil bumababa rin siya sa surveys, no? Bumababa rin siya. Binabanatan siya ni Panelo at saka ni Baste Duterte, di ba? Dahil sa usapin ng namamangka sa dalawang ilog. At the same time, umalis siya sa administration slate, di ba? Umalis siya at bumabanat siya sa administrasyon. Kaya yung kanyang calculation na siya ay Marcos pa rin at dadalhin pa rin siya ng supporters ng mga Marcos, baka that won't hold water, no? Kaya sinasabi ko, delikado siya dahil bumababa siya sa surveys. Kung ikaw ay nasa last 4, very vulnerable ka sa paglaglag ng both sides.
Okay. So my last question is, what should the president do? Clearly, he personally has been ignoring, right, the statements made by Vice President Duterte. But what should he do? And how do you see this political drama ending?
Well, yung president, to show that siya ay malakas, to show strength, dapat sumagot siya. Pero yung kanyang personality, alam naman natin, Karen, ay passive-aggressive at saka conflict-averse. Kaya ang sumasagot ay yung mga tao niya. Sumagot ang Armed Forces of the Philippines, sumagot ang Presidential Security Group, sumagot ang Philippine National Police, sumagot ang League of Municipalities, etc. Nung binanatan, nung sinabi ni Vice President na huhukayin yung kanyang tatay at itatapon sa West Philippine Sea, ang sumagot ay yung kanyang anak, si Sandro Marcos. So mukhang ang kanyang conduct ay hindi sumagot. Pasagutin yung kanyang mga supporters. Pero sinasabi ko, kung ako ay siya, sasagutin ko to kahit papano to show strength. Paano ito matatapos? Tingin ko yung 3 Damocles sword sa ulo ng mga Duterte ay bababa na. The government will go for the jugular. Impeachment, which means na hindi na pwedeng tumakbo for any elective position forever ang Vice President kung siya ay makukonvict. Mga cases laban sa kanyang tatay, sa kanyang kapatid, sa kanyang asawa, ay baka isampa na sa korte. Medyo serious cases yun, non-bailable yun. At ikatlo, yung International Criminal Court na posibleng dumating sooner than later in the next few months. So, kwanto survival yung nakataya dito sa 3 Damocles swords sa kanilang mga ulo. Tingin ko, either mag-hesitate yung gobyerno na medyo makakasama sa kanila or they have to go for the jugular. Tingin ko yun yung magiging direction nila.
Okay, now, before we end, okay, I think you said that well because I think, is President Marcos Jr. the kind of leader, I don't know if Malacanang is watching, to go for the jugular? I mean, when you think of recent history, right? You had former President Erap Estrada, impeachment trial, right? There was a walkout, but at the end of the day, there was an impeachment trial. He was impeached. Number 2, the late President Noynoy Aquino, right? Actually supported the impeachment trial against a sitting Chief Justice. You had some sectors that said, grabe, ang sama naman ni Pinoy, did he have to do that? You remember? But he went for the jugular. Now, does President Marcos Jr. have it in him? Is it in him to do this? Because when Pinoy did that, it was surprising for many people, right? Many people said, oh, he's so vindictive. But at the end, it was surprising he did it and Corona was impeached. But does President Marcos Jr. have it in him? Because you have close sources that say, and I'll use this word, he's very nice. That's what they say, right? You have sources that say he's very nice. So, does he have, right? Does he have that in him?
Yes, pero tingin ko iniisip niya ngayon yung survival mismo ng kanyang political project. yung survival mismo nila as a family. Dahil kung mag-survive ang mga Duterte beyond the midterms, no? Kung hindi mangyari itong mga Damocles swords, na yung mga Duterte will be the one going for the jugular. It will be hell to pay. No, knowing the Duterte, gagantihan sila niyan. At hindi simpleng legal cases ang gagawin ng mga Duterte against them. Kaya tingin ko naiisip na rin ito ni Presidente at yung nakapaligid sa kanya. Yung mga nakapaligid sa kanya, the First Lady, diretsuhin na natin, the Speaker, might go for the jugular. Dahil yung kanilang survival ang nakataya rito. At yung survival ng kanilang mga anak. No? Kaya survival fight na ito Katulad ng sinabi ko nung unang guesting natin dito, this is already a survival fight. Kaya tingin ko naiisip na rin yan by the president. Pero yung talagang magde-decide are the people around him. No? Tingin ko, di ba nakita naman natin, sino ba ang openly bumanat sa Vice President early this year? The First Lady. Di ba? Yung speaker nagsalita na. Di ba? Kaya pala ito survival fight na. No? Kung hindi nila, if they don't go for the jugular, kung merong kukurap, kung merong magbiblink, yun yung talo.
That's a good one. Okay, kung sino magbiblink yun ang talo. And if you don't go for the jugular, it's dangerous after the midterm elections and the next elections. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Lalo
okay.
na, sabi mo nga, Karen, medyo mataas pa rin ang Vice President. Kahit dramatically bumababa siya. So, yung mga politiko, alam mo naman, very cynical yung mga politiko, pupunta sila doon sa top 1, top 2.
Exactly.
To secure their future in 2028. So, baka maging lame duck na ang Presidente at saka ang Speaker after the midterms kung magsusurvive ang mga Duterte. No, magsi-shift ng loyalty yan. No? At definitely, no, there will be hell to pay kung mag-survive ang mga Duterte.
On that note, political analyst Ronald Llamas, thank you so much for joining me today. As always,